After a heated debate and discussion with the Nubian community and the leaders, for the best son of the Nubian community, who is rich with the history of the Nubian community.
I'm really appreciated. I'm really delighted to have you guys here. My name is Kur, son of a Nubian. I'm also the Kenyan Nubian cultural ambassador.
This is the very first time in 30 years I've seen this. I mean, growing up in the slum.
I was born in a family of 12.
12.
Yeah. Yeah, because the Nubians are the Nubian history. It has really dominated the history of the world. Because they were military. They were working for the Ottoman Empire. So they came in as in they wanted to help Africans. They didn't know that they had other agendas for maybe as colonizing.
So it's the savior mentality.
Exactly. So
then we have these settlements where there is not even walking space in the neighborhood. I mean, there is, but you're squeezing yourself in between.
It's really sad, the situation we are currently today at Kenya. It started, I'll say it happened because of the historical injustice that we are subjected to, the Nubians especially. Before independence, Kibera was well organized. You see, some of our elders here by then, they are well educated people and they had that information, they had the experience. What we know is that they were being destabilized because of their prowess in different areas.
Of interest, I think, if we are talking development of Kibera, changing Kibera, making Kibera a better place, where for me as a young leader in Kibera, I think we need to begin from is first, we really need to understand the history of Kibera. What is the place of the Nubians or the Nubian community or even leaders in governing or leadership in Kibera? It is very interesting that we package it in a global way that everybody gets to understand it and the new generation gets to appreciate it. I'm very honored. I cannot thank you enough.
I've really appreciated.
First, for welcoming me in your home. Hola, ladies and gentlemen, you're probably wondering where you are. Welcome to this episode. We're still in the Kibera episodes. A few things I had promised you guys, and I really feel indebted to bring them your way. I'm so very excited to share with you guys this one. If you're new here, please remember to subscribe. If you're a continued subscriber, we celebrate and appreciate you. So on today's episode, we actually in Kibera. After a heated debate and discussion with the Nubian community and the leaders, I've actually been given a dedication and a commitment for the best son of the Nubian community, who's able to package the story, who's rich with the history of the Nubian community. And so this is who we're gonna interview. This was my second promise and it's coming to pass. And so the next promise is now to talk to the Kibera leader. Let's go. We did a story and the old villages, the 14 villages of Kibera, the whole entire story led us to one place, and that is the Nubian community. As we had promised, after talking and debating with the religious and also leaders of the Nubian community, we had been given a referral to the one and only son of the Nubians to be able to narrate to us and take us through the story. Karibu to the show.
No, thank you so much. Thank you so much.
I know him very well as somebody that I really looked up to while growing up and also closely. Supporter of my work down here, and also we'll get into it, but he runs a very interesting business here in Kibera. Introduce yourself to the people.
I'm really appreciated. I'm really delighted to have you guys here. My name is Kur, son of a Nubian. I'm also the Kenyan Nubian cultural ambassador. I'm the male ambassador, and I have a female partner who is called Siama Ismail. We work together with her. Yeah.
Awesome. What does that mean actually?
Well,
when you say you are the male ambassador of Nubian culture.
Yeah. We were selected back in 2013. It was a national tour organized by the community from the grassroots level, from the village. We also have our own villages, that's the Nubians, from you see here Makina, but it's also divided into villages,
Right.
on our villages.
Right.
So each of the contestants came from, it was like a contest. So in 2013, I emerged the winner with Siama Ismail.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So you know who I am with.
Yeah.
The male cultural ambassador for the Nubian community.
Yeah.
Listen, this is what we're going to be getting into the details about. In the series, you guys have seen us go through this, and we are very privileged to have the very own. Let's have a seat as we
Thank you.
discuss this story.
Welcome.
Asante sana. I want to say my gratitude to Victor's with Victor team. I grew up around here. This is around Kianda village, right? And I think in my 30 years in living in Kibera, this is the very first time I stepped into your home.
Really?
Yeah,
Really?
I'm serious, and it's an honor.
I'm also surprised to hear that.
This is the very first time in 30 years I've seen this. I mean, growing up in the slum, this is one of the places that every young person would look at and say like, hey, I want to be like this family.
Yeah.
Because of the organization in your family, the unity, the brotherhood. I think it's really inspirational. And so I'm very honored to be here.
Thank you. Welcome so much.
You have a beautiful home.
Thank you.
All in
It has not
Kibera.
come easy. It's through discipline and what has been impacted with our parents.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
There are people who are upright, especially the Nubian community. What you see from us is how the forefathers used to be.
I can't agree less.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tell us who you are. I mean, you just said your name, but tell us who you are.
Well, I'm a Nubian, a father,
Mm-hmm.
and very soon going to be a grandfather.
Grandfather, congratulations.
Well, I was born in a family of 12.
12.
Yeah, one father and a mother.
Okay.
So I think I'm the third last. I have my elder siblings. The first one is a sister who's residing in Mombasa.
Ah, nice.
Yeah, for many years, over almost 50 years, she's been in Mombasa.
Right.
Yeah. So I'm a businessman. My entire life I've been a business. Since I cleared high school, I went to college, I had my diploma and everything, but I was really more oriented to business. Yeah, I love business. So it's what my father also used to be a businessman.
Right.
Yeah.
An example of Kibera entrepreneurs I see in him. And talking money, I mean, we'll get into it. So much to ask, and I'm very curious, just as you guys, to know the story. A family of 12, I mean, growing up, I've seen one of the things that I've seen with your family here, and something that is really unique. In this side of the village, you are the only Nubians. And not just the only Nubians, but I think the leadership that is seen within the community of Kibera is evident in you guys. A lot of young leaders eventually land here, either with entrepreneurship that you do, either for your great delicious meals or for something that you're doing with the community. Tell us how it was growing up here, and how did you guys end up on this side of Kibera? And we also know that there are villages for the Nubians.
Okay, it's a long story. Back then, I'll say it's one of the historical injustice that has happened to the Nubian community.
Right.
Yeah, we were the only. We're not the only Nubians here. I think we are two. My uncle is just down here, so that makes us two Nubians.
Okay.
Around the Sarangombe village, according to the setup. But we have other Nubians, but it's far from here. That is Soweto.
Right, right.
That is along the Sarangombe village.
Yeah.
So living here, it has been great, but really quite frustrating a lot, according to many aspects, considering that has been affecting the Nubians' life,
Right.
especially us here. But going back to history, how we came and landed here is that what actually Sarangombe. This is Sarangombe, but the actual Sarangombe where my father came, or my great grandfather, is Jamhuri. The former Sarangombe was The boundary was from all the way from City Inspectorate. I think you know it.
Yeah.
We used to call it when we were young,
Yes.
City,
City.
something like that.
Yeah.
Meteorological. You come to Kenya Science, Jamhuri Estate,
And
Impala, Harlequins, and the last boundary was the railway line.
yeah, so
Down towards the showground, that was Sarangombe. That was a Nubian village called Sarangombe. And actually, it was one of the largest villages for the Nubians. For the Nubian villages, we have like 14 villages for the Nubians. I'll mention to them as we are going on. So, in 1969, that is when my fathers or grandfather they were evicted from Jamhuri, the old Jamhuri.
Okay.
You see the Harlequins that we have there. That was our land. That was our shamba. We call it shamba. So every Nubian was given a shamba pass. Okay. So that is where we came from, and that is not the first place we came. No, we did. This was the last place or the first place. As we were evicted from Sarangombe, we were brought to Lomle, which is now the Ayani. It was called Lomle. Yeah, it was Lomle. So from there we also evicted when it was being developed. That's when we came here. So it's a long story. Yeah. So that 1969, that is when my father came from there, but I wasn't by then. But I wasn't alive. I think it was only my firstborn and the two siblings who are around, maybe three of them.
So this was the great grandfather, the grandfather.
The great grandfather was called Kurajan.
Cool. So you were named after the great.
Exactly.
Okay.
So and he was buried there.
Actually,
I know the location of the grave.
Okay.
Just at the outer boundary of Jamhuri, towards near the shopping center, bordering the shopping center of the phase 2 and Jamhuri phase 1. Yeah, that's where he was buried somewhere.
That's interesting.
Yeah, he was buried there. So those are the people who came from. There's one who came from Sudan. Yeah, but my grandfather was born here. My father was born here, and my other uncles were all born here, and they have been buried here in Kibera.
Wow.
Yeah.
So when I said it's home for the Nubians, and it really takes us back to history, and you can tell how Mr. Kur is telling the story, it is not something that it's articulated, it's something that is within him. And for the Nubian community to trust him with packaging this story as he is doing it. So then from Jamhuri into Kibera.
From Jamhuri into Kibera.
Yes.
So I think I'll go back to history. Yeah, because the Nubians the Nubian history, it has really dominated the history of the world for many centuries. Actually, for thousands of years. The Nubian history. Right. It's one of the dominating history. When you want to talk of history, you can't forget about the Nubians when you come to Africa.
Right.
I think the Nubians are the top. One of the top cultures and the richest cultures in Africa.
In Africa, right?
So, and it had a dynasty which ruled the Egypt for 1,000 years. It was called the Kush Empire for 1,000 years. Yeah. So it was the Nubians. When you hear of the Kush Empire, just know it was the Nubians. Yeah. So, just to be brief, the Nubians came from Sudan as they were military. They were working for the Ottoman Empire. And according to the history, the Nubians have been military all their lives. During the dynasties, they've just been the military. So when Ottoman Empire came, when they took over, I think some 600 years ago, that's when they started working with the Ottoman Empire. So the person who came and contacted the Nubians, and they met with who struck the deal with the Nubians, who was called Captain Lugar, I think in 1851. So when the Nubians were there, the Nubians were well established in military system. They had all the hierarchy of the military. So they were really impressive. He was really impressed with the Nubians, how they are well organized system of life and system. Actually, by then they knew how to read and write.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I think Nubians are the first people who started writing and reading
in Africa.
in Africa.
Ah, okay. So I mean, I'm new generation. I'm really moved by the information. Maybe if you take us, I'm not going to assume. Maybe our viewers know who is the Ottoman.
The Ottoman Empire. The Ottoman Empire was currently the Turkish people.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, it was the Ottoman Empire.
Ah.
The Turkish.
Would you have any information why they were called the Ottoman Empire?
Not really. I haven't gone that deep to it, but they were called the Ottoman Empire.
Ah,
It's just
okay.
like the Rome Empire.
Oh, right,
I mean,
right.
We used to have the Rome Empire and the Persian Empire, which is the current, which was the Iran, and you know. So you have to go get a good historian who have to dig deep to it.
Right.
But at least I have the information, the
Yeah.
basic information I have.
Right.
So, just to be brief, when Captain Lugard met them, because when the British came into East Africa, they met a lot of resistance from the local community.
Yes.
Yeah, just to penetrate. So they had a hint when Captain Lugard was an expeditious guy, yeah. So he was moving around, just collecting trophies and something like that. So he met the Nubians. He heard of the Nubians, so he met one of the generals of the Nubians. It was called Salim Bey.
Salim Bey.
Yeah, that's when they met and they talk about maybe having a deal, working together for the British to. So they came in as in they wanted to help Africans. They didn't know that they had other agendas for maybe as colonizing.
So it's the savior mentality.
Exactly. So they agreed. They agreed on a certain. It was a deal. They agreed on certain term of payments. So that's how they came all the way from Uganda. They came to Kenya. Some went to Tanzania.
Right.
All over East Africa and Central Sahara Africa. Nubians they've settled there. In any country that the British has managed to colonize, especially in the East African, Central and Eastern Sahara, the Nubians are there. Mali, Chad, where name any country, they are all there.
Right.
Yeah. So that's how we came. So I was telling you about my great grandfather was called Kura Jack. I think that is the person who was working together with Salim Bey.
Right.
Because my grandfather was born in somewhere in Baringo in 1880 something there.
Right.
Then that's where he was born, and during that time. So the Nubians came through the British as military people. They were just military people. Some settled in Uganda, some were in Bombo, and very different places in Uganda. So the rest who came to Kenya, the headquarters of the Nubians was here in Kibera. That is when they came.
Right.
So Kenyatta Hospital was a garrison, was a barracks for the soldier, for the King's African Rifles. In I think the late 19th century, it was a barracks until I think for many years. For many years, I can't be accurate on when it stopped being a barracks. So Kibera was a headquarter for the Nubians. When they come and started, they were placed in different garrisons. They went to Mombasa, they settled in Mombasa. Some settled in Kisii, some settled in Mias, many areas. And the areas that they settled were garrison because they were military people.
Right.
That is how the many settlement of Kenya started with those barracks. So many people don't know how a lot of this settlement, how it started, because the most part of Kenya, when they were entering Kenya, it was just plain lands and forests and bush. There was no any development by then. So the Mzungu had the mentality of trying to create access to different areas.
Right.
So they were the key people to protect them, for them to have a smooth operation of their own interests here in the country. So when they came to Kenyatta Hospital as the barracks, they stayed there. So as time went by, most of them were becoming old. They needed to retire and they needed somewhere to settle, and they also had families. So they were given the Kibera land.
Well, not most people. I am one of those people who do not understand how these settlements came about. So this is, for me, this is really overwhelming.
Then you are really lucky to have
I'm more than blessed. I'm very
You're lucky
fortunate.
to have this kind of emotion. Yeah, I've really met a lot of people. They have a lot of distorted information about Kibera, distorted information about the Nubians, distorted information about everything about the Nubians, coming from the economical, economical perspective, social and political,
Right.
concerning about Kibera, how it started. Now I hadn't finished with the history.
Yes.
So when they started settle here, in 1919 or something, it's when Kibera was declared. 1902, it was declared a settlement for the Nubians.
1902.
19 something there. Yeah.
Right.
Then in 1914, it was surveyed for the Nubians. The land was surveyed with the help of the British, the British regime. Then in 1918 or 17 there, if I'm not wrong, between those 2 years, it was gazetted as a Nubian land with an acreage of 4,117 acres. Now, if I can just give you the picture of that land, the boundaries, starting all the way from Karen here, from Rescos or Lenana,
Right.
going downwards like this, up to Mbagathi, the military area, down there, going up when you connect with now, you take the Langata Road, going up to the Langata Road here, that was whole Kibera.
Langata
The
Road through Karen.
the Ngong Road, you have that is the 44,000 acres, yeah.
Okay.
The entire of Langata was 4,000 acres. The whole slum here, the Kijiji you see here, it was 4,000 acres.
Yeah.
Mimosa,
Right.
we have the high rise, we have what Ngong Road area, we have the Prestige and everything, the Moi Girls and everything was part. Jamhuri Estate and that was part of Kibera.
I get the picture now.
Yeah.
So what transition to Bidagoreti now, it was all Kibera.
No, the other part of the Dagoretti, the boundary was the
road.
Was the road.
Then
So the
Ngong
other
Road, yeah.
side was the Dagoretti,
Okay.
which is the Great Corner. It's just a corruption of men. So when our forefathers came here, the land was bush, it was a forest land. That's why it's called Kibera. The meaning of Kibera is a forest land.
Forest, jungle.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So they came and cleared the bushes, they created the settlement, they started there. So it's now a habitat for them.
So who is it that came?
The people who came is our great grandfathers.
Okay.
And some of the Nubians maybe will be like grandfather.
Right.
Because when my grandfather came here, my great grandfather when he came, none of my uncles, that is the sons or daughters to my grandfather, saw him, because he lived to an age where, to the old age, where he was very frail. He could be carried out to have bask in the sun.
Right.
He could be fed food. So he was very old, yeah. But none of them saw him. I think he died early, many years, because my grandfather, he fought the First World War, the Second World War.
And the Second World War is what led to the settlement in Kibera, right?
Not the second, it was the first.
The
Not
first.
even the First World War.
Oh, really?
It was during when the
British.
conquest of Africa. That is when they came. Actually, not the First World War, because I told you earlier, if you can remember, I told you that they came here. They met with the British in 1851.
Right.
For the same purpose of the conquest of East Africa and the rest of Africa. So it started way back, very early. So the history of Nubians is broad, and actually of Kibera. We are particularly concentrating on Kibera.
Yeah, this is intriguing. For me, it's really
intriguing. It's really broad, the
Yeah.
history of Kibera. So anything to do with Kibera, the establishment, the agriculture, political was started with the Nubians. So by then they really concentrated in agriculture, cultivation, rearing of animals, because every Nubian was entitled to 4 acres. Some were entitled to 10 acres of land. And the soldiers, we normally call them Wazee, especially when we find many Nubians, they say Wazee Teina, or our elders, yeah. So most of the people who came here, they were like 400, and all of them were soldiers. All of them were soldiers in the British King's African Rifle. My great grandfather was a military King's African Rifle. He retired and died as a veteran. My grandfather was also took part in the military. Was recruited. He retired in 19, I think late 30s. Yeah. There's a certificate I'll show you later. He got as a recognition from the king. Yes, for being in good conduct. You know, the soldiers, when you are recognized, you have done something outstanding, you're given medals. But most of the medals, I think, they got lost. The only thing that we're retaining now, I think, is the certificate and maybe the history. So we are rich in history because the right history which has been passed over and over to generation. So it's intact.
Yeah.
So the things that I'm saying is that the things that have been passed over to me by my father, passed over to me by our elder leaders. So it's something that is accurate. You won't find it's distorting from any. We'll go to anybody somewhere in Nubian asking about the history. It will never distort or contradict itself with mine.
Right.
It's always accurate.
Well, I must say that I mean, other than feeling privileged, I might say that when I was doing stories in the Nubian community, I even met old men, but I was told there has to be a specific person to give me the story. So when I reached out to Sheikh is somebody that is really honored and is very respected.
Yeah, he's highly respected.
So
I know him, yeah.
He took the whole week to disclose that it's you that is going to give out this story. So, and I was really moved. Even when I called you from the office, I didn't know that it was you. But then when I heard your voice, then I was like, hey, this guy. So I'm very privileged to be doing this story.
Yeah. Thank you also.
It is overwhelming, and now it's also humbling for me growing up in Kibera to have this information firsthand. Let's get into the Nubians. Who are the Nubians?
The Nubians are, I don't know how I'll put it. They are a tribe from. It's an ancient tribe. Really, really ancient. Actually, it's beginning the era of our father. You call him Abraham, and we call him Ibrahim. You see, there's a time our prophet, that is according to Islamic version, he was sending some of his companions to Africa to come and spread Islam. So he told them, when you're going to that was in Misri, it's called Misri or Egypt. He told them that when you're going there, be very careful when you find those black people there. Those are they are descendants, or the descendants of our mother, who was wife to Ibrahim. We call him Hiji or Hagar. So he was, and he said it was, according to historian, he was a Nubian and he was a black person. So the mother to Ishmael was a black person who was the helper to Ibrahim, to Sarah.
Right.
To Sarah, who said, marry Hagar so that we can have children. Yeah. So when you talk of the Nubians, it's a really, really ancient community since that time. So, and it's well documented in the history in many aspects. So the Nubians, the originality is from the southern part of the Egypt. That's where they resided, and the northern part of Sudan. That's the Aswan Dam. That's where they are. That's where their original homeland. Yeah. So from there, that's how they settle in different parts of Africa. Through what I've told you about the British intervention.
Right.
Yeah. So the Nubians are from Sudan. They are from Sudan, but within them, it's a combination of different. We call it clans or tribes. They are called Nubi. But the word Nubi, it's the meaning of Nubi. It means gold. Gold, or a combination of the Sudan people, the Southern Sudan people, who are from Southern Sudan, and they are called Nubi, which means the people from the Southern Sudan.
Right.
They are called Nubi. Sometimes you say this is a Nubi. You see, so that's the meaning of the Nubians. But the Nubians, we have a great culture in terms of food. We have a great variety of our cultural food, which up to date we still cook and we practice some of the culture.
Right.
We have our wedding ceremonies. We have our sayings. We have our own riddles. You see, so it's the culture is still intact,
Right.
up to date.
Well, looking at food is one thing that is really special. And when I was doing a short interview with a Nubian lady, one of the things that I learned, and even so from personal experience, is the communal aspect with the Nubian people, the love for people. And it was evident while I was growing up. I mean, there would be certain times that you guys would be giving us food for free, and it was special food, not leftovers.
Very true.
Food that you guys were eating with us as kids, and a lot of kids would come. I saw it even in school during Ramadan or during celebration. Kids would bring us, we used to call them matamu mahamri. Yeah, so they would, matumbua.
Kitumbua.
So they would bring that to school. I mean, I see that depicted in certain communities in Kibera, and I see that it's from the Nubian community. What does community means for the Nubians?
The community.
Yes.
Yeah, it's really one of the, let's say, the foundation for the Nubians.
Right.
The community, the social life. You see, it's what is describing us as a tribe, as a Nubian. What you've just said is that as a community, we have that strong bond. We believe in unity. We believe in generosity, which is which is one of the key traits of a Nubian. We are very generous, and most of this establishment that came in, especially we're talking of Kibera.
Right.
The Kibera was a restricted area. Nobody was allowed to come here. There was a notice board which was at the chief's office. So it was written a military zone area. I think it was removed in the 70s, as I'm told by my elders. It was a military zone area, so nobody was allowed to come here. You have to come here. You have to have a pass. You have to have a reason. So the youth who are walking around here, the Nubian, will question you.
Yeah.
But if they find that you have a lousy reason for coming here, you'll be caned. So they were really strict by then. So. But as time went by, people in many parts of Nairobi, nobody was allowed to settle here during those times.
Right.
It was during the colonial time, but it was a military area, so we allowed many people to come in from different communities. I remember the first community started residing here. The Kikuyus were there many years back. Then the Luos came in 1969 after the riots that took place and sort of persecution during the independence. After Tom Mboya passed, it was really bad for the Luo community because they were residing in the outskirts of Nairobi. So they were, there was that profiling by then. So because they were against by then, they were anti-government because Tom Mboya had passed on, and that regime by then was it was a powerful government. Yeah.
Right.
So they had hard time. The only place they could seek refuge was from Kibera. It's a non-story. So most of the Nubians took them and they gave them shelter and accommodated them for a short period of time. I remember my dad used to tell me that by that time he used to ferry them, taking them to the bus station. By then, because it was bad, there's no other area they could go. So it was really bad for them. So when you're talking of Nubian, the community aspect of it, we've been living together all along as a community. You see, as a village, we had that village set up as a community, and I'm trying to emphasize more on the social part. Up to date, we didn't used to intermarry, but now we are intermarrying. Because of that generosity, we've mentored a lot of people. who have been assimilated. There's some people who have been assimilated to the community,
I know.
who were took
Yes.
maybe along the way when they are coming
Mm.
as soldiers. By then the transport system was hard.
Right.
The only transport system was there was the foot and maybe donkey or horses. Those were the only things that you had. So they along the way they picked people and they adapted, assimilated to the community. They grew up, become completely Nubian. So I'll proudly say that Nubian is one of the great communities in Kenya. As it's a loving community.
I really love the transition into what you've gotten into. One thing that I don't want us to forget as we move forward is Nubi or the Nubians are subdivided into tribes or sub-clans.
Yeah,
I'm not
clans,
sure.
yeah.
Clans. What are the clans and what is the differences in the clans?
Now we have like according to villages. First, I'll name to you the villages. They settle according to their clans,
Okay.
villages. Yeah,
Mm.
we have like 14 villages currently.
Mm.
Makina is a village on its own. There we have the Bari, we have the Lugwar, then our side here. So, but in Sudan, those are tribes.
Right.
As I mentioned to you earlier, the word Nubi means the combination of the people who came, the black people from the southern Sudan,
Right.
according to the history. Now we have the Sarangombe and Lomle, which are good neighbors. They are same people. It's they used to call themselves, they are Dinkas, yeah.
Dinkas.
Then we have Lidi, we have the Muruz, we have the Ledu, we have the Bari, we have
So Lindi is a Nubian tribe.
No, it's not a Lindi. Lindi is just an area.
Okay. But it's a Nubian word.
It's a Nubian word.
Ah, okay.
It's a Nubian word.
Which is supposedly meaning?
For Lindi, no, Lindi I think it's borrowed from, because there's some areas also called Lindi.
Right.
In Tanzania there's a place
Yes.
called Lindi.
So it's borrowed
So
from different sections.
Yeah, from different sections.
Okay.
But the people settle according to their own clans mostly.
Mm.
Yeah. Then we have the Aluru, Kambi Aluru. We have the Kambi Baka. There are many, but it's 14 villages.
Mm.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Mhm.
So what is the differences in these villages or sub-clans?
There's no much great differences. It's only that, it's like you, maybe you're coming from Kibera, yeah?
Mm.
And then maybe you went abroad.
Ah,
So we'll preferably stay together because we are coming from.
right.
So maybe you're coming from Sarangombe, and
okay.
I met you there, you see.
That makes sense.
yeah,
So,
that's
Mr. Kuru, what I'm interested in,
But the culture is the same.
the culture is the
Everything,
same.
the language and everything is the same.
Yeah, that's very evident.
Uh-huh.
So what I'm really interested in as the great grandsons of the first settlers of this land, Kibera, is so now the war, and then the Luos and other communities get assimilated into the Nubian community due to the generosity and the welcoming nature of the Nubians. So from a forest to what we have today. And I imagine, because this land had been dedicated and given to the Nubians, how did this transition happen?
Well, it happened through, there's certain factors. Number one, I told you, because of, once there's a settlement start emerging, it will attract people.
Yes.
That's according to history. There are certain factors that will attract people.
Mhm.
So the Nubians here, as being military, there was a lot of activities going around. So it was a settlement already. We have traders coming from outside, coming to sell their products, and us maybe selling our products. By then there was the Nubian gin. There was a Nubian gin. We used to sell. Some of our members of the community used to sell water, and the other communities from there used to bring their their farm products to us. So that's how the settlement came, slowly by slowly. Then after independence, before independence, it was dominantly dominated by the Nubians. It was completely, the Nubians were the ones who were settled, but it's only few members of the of the Kikuyu tribe who used to stay the outskirts of the Kibera mainland.
Right.
We welcomed them through what I told you, through the trade. They came in through trade. So, and as you said, the Nubians were really generous people.
Yeah.
They were always welcoming people, showing them, teaching them, mentoring some of them. It was only by then to find a local community, some of them going to school was really hard. Was really hard. And Kibera by then the Kibera Primary was established in 1953. So many children used to come outside Kibera just to come and it was the only school by then. You see, so that is how people started coming. So after independence, with the we have now a new regime. So there's definitely, we're going to have new rules, you see, and they did not honor what was left to us by the British. I said the old regimes that came in, they never honored what was given to them by the British, because when the British was leaving, the Nubians did not go with them, because they still had that Africanism.
Right.
See, there's a very interesting story in life in the history of Kenya. During the emergence of the Mau Mau, they were told by the British to fight against the Mau Mau, but they refused by then. They said that this is our fellow brothers.
These are our people.
These are our people. We can't fight them. Now it's enough for them. They are fighting for the right cause, because they wanted justice by then. They could even see how they were struggling. And Kibera was also an exile for them. There's no any area in Nairobi was safe for them. It was only Kibera. Even Mzee Jomo Kenyatta used to do his meetings here in Kibera.
Right.
There was only 2 houses he could do the meeting. It's called in Kibera. If you go there during your interview, I think you'll try to go and do an interview with them, with that family. He used to go and do his secret meetings there. It's called Nyumba Kubwa. It's one of the oldest houses. They still preserve that old architectural plan of the Nubian houses.
Nyumba Kubwa.
Nyumba Kubwa. And our home in Sarangombe, that's when they used to come there. Jomo Kenyatta, Tomboya, Pinto. By then those were the young Turks. Pinto and Tomboya and the rest, yeah?
Yeah, it is also frustrating to me as a Kenyan to hear how the Nubians contributed to the fight for the freedom, but then in history we don't really see that documented and clearly put down.
You see, as a community, we faced a lot of challenges and a lot of I'll say oppression. It has really affected our livelihood here. It's really sad with what we've said, but we've really contributed a lot. We've really contributed a lot in terms of the freedom of this country, in terms of uplifting these people and coming up with those ideas. By then, the civil servants who were here in Nairobi by then, most of them who had the key position here in Nairobi was the Nubians. Because the locals here, they did not have that information. Remember very well that we had interacted with the British, and the British they were well informed. They had an organized system back because in 19th century in London, everything is like here in Nairobi.
Right.
That's why you were told that the third world countries were 200 years backwards to those guys. So you could imagine, but in 19th century, how Kenya was. It was just a bushy area. Most of the local tribes here were walking half naked, some were walking naked by then. But as we had that information, we had the knowledge. So the key people only could run all those facilities or run those institutions were the Nubians. You see? For instance, when you want to speak the militarism in Kenya, there's no way you leave out the Nubian community, because they are the people who brought militarism here in Kenya.
Right.
You see, even the numbering in the military. Remember, they used to use the Arabic words. The name Afande. The name Afande is not a Swahili name.
Right.
Do you know that?
Yeah, I know that.
It's not a Swahili. It is the Nubian. It is. They are the ones who came up with that.
The name
Afande. The
And its
meaning,
meaning?
the meaning Afande is meaning the smart person,
Or not security.
not
this
security.
case.
No,
Yeah.
it's a smart
A
person,
smart
very
person. Right.
and an intelligent person, strong person, Afande.
Afande.
Afandia, it's Afandia.
Ah.
In the right pronunciation is Afandia, but here now if we change it to
Afande.
Afande.
Mm.
Yeah.
So interesting. I mean, do you know where the Maasai come from and how this integrates to them being also part of Nairobi? Because the word Nairobi, from what I have, the little information that I have, the word Nairobi is from a Maasai word.
Very true. You see, I think the Maasai is the only tribe, according to the history, they are the people who have not migrated or come from somewhere.
Yeah.
I think the people who are just originality from
Second to
Kenya.
the Nubians.
No, not second to the according to the history, to the
Right.
settlements, how people migrated.
I mean, settling in Nairobi.
Yeah, we had the Nilotes, Bantus. We were told that Bantus came from Zaire.
Uh-huh.
The Kushites came from Ethiopia. We are told even the Kikuyus came from Ethiopia.
So Maasai
I
is
think for the
original.
Maasais, according to history, there are people who have been residing here for ages, yeah,
Right.
and they are really lucky because they are the people who they really owned huge, vast lands in Kenya. So they were there, but when they came in, but they were scattered maybe in the interior areas, and Makil that these guys were military people.
Right.
And nobody could even dare and try to stop them in anything because they were really vicious guys.
Right.
They were strong.
Right.
They were warriors. You see, so only 300. You know, they came only 300 by then when they were fighting. So they didn't get much resistance along the way. So I'll say that for them to settle here, there was nobody was settling here by then. So it was given by them. It was known it was as a Nairobi land. And Nairobi, the real meaning of Nairobi is a wetland.
Wetland, right.
You see, these people are nomadic, yeah? So Maasai and the nomad tribes, they will go anywhere where they find green pastures
And they will settle
and green pastures and enough
They will,
water.
yes.
So Nairobi was suitable
for them.
for cattle grazing and all that stuff. Yeah? So it was mostly will come occasionally. And by then, those time, the climate was good. Everywhere was the land. Everywhere was green.
Yeah.
It had good cultivation and everything.
And the climate
Yeah.
as well. Yeah, later on in the series, we would be talking to Honorable Loledama to just get the history of. But it's also good to see a blend of the two. So then, Kibera from a forest to what it is now currently the largest slum in the world, as gazetted recently. I mean, for me, I thought it was just in Africa after development of Soweto, but I realized it's actually in the world. So then we have these settlements where there is not even walking space within the neighborhood. I mean, there is, but you're squeezing yourself in between these rusty iron sheets. I'm really curious to get deep into, because I mean, knowing the Nubians, very organized. Even your home, from looking at it, very spacious. There's a very organized way. Even the plantation, there is a shamba here that we are sitting in, very interestingly. I'm assuming the leadership within Kibera then was a Nubian leadership that was welcoming these people. There are also stories I've heard of. There was a corrupt chief who was just giving land to people then. How did Kibera become this kind of settlement? And even in the villages of the Nubians today, if you walk, you find a very organized pathway. There is a very organized way of disposing garbage. There is organized leadership. There is community. There is respect and honor. And today we have Kibera crime. Hygiene is one of the things that you really struggle to walk around Kibera and find. Even space to walk around. There is no
Very true,
order
yeah.
of anything. I mean, we have
a government or authority in Kibera, but it is not even working it's not effectively working to the benefit of the community. It's actually harming the community that it is benefiting the community. Talk to us about this.
Well, it's really sad, the situation we are currently today at India. It started, I'll say it happened because of the historical injustice that we are subjected to, the Nubians especially. You see, before independence and everything, and just way after independence, Kibera was a very beautiful place. Even 80s, 70s, Kibera still was beautiful. There was no this congestion of people. Before independence, Kibera was well organized. You see, we had the cultivation land, we had area for grazing, we had different homestead. You see, streams were everywhere. You could walk and find clean water, which you could just drink from directly by them. So after independence, you see, according to the Nubians, what people don't understand, the Nubians were started to be frustrated way back. You see, I told you during the Jomo Kenyatta's regime, we really helped in the Mau Mau organization to have what they had, because some of our elders here by then, they are well educated people and they had that information, they had the experience. You see, they were already exposed. Most of these people are not exposed, so they give them ideas and everything. So I think what we know is that they were trying to be destabilized because of their prowess in different areas. Because I think the government feared that these are people who worked with the British, and they are military people. If they are given a chance to be more organized, they can even come and try to maybe change the government or come up with different ideas, or even interfere with the running of that government. So with the Nubians, they started interference started way back to interfere with the stability of the Nubians, because I think the regime which was there, they feared that for the well-being of the Nubians, it would affect them in some way. So how did they start doing that? Because in 1969, I told you that that's the first village that people were evicted without having good compensation. They were not even compensated according to their own, what they owned, or to the right value what they had owned. You see, they were given houses, but very tiny houses for them to buy again. You see, that is not resettlement plan. You see, and these are the same people who helped that regime by then. So you see, it came in a very they come up in a very intricate way of trying to destabilize the Nubians. That was the whole idea. And also the population of Nubians was growing. Though they were given a chance to go and relocate. They were given a place here in Gong called Kibi. Up to now, the place is called the Nubian area. But they refuse. They say that we cannot accept this place, because we are the ones who have developed this place and established and started this place. So they refuse with a good reason, and their reason was justifiable, because there's no way you're taking me again back to. By then, those days, I think Gong was still very bushy by then.
Bushy, right?
Yeah, you see. So they refuse. So another reason, the reason of development and evicting Nubians, when the administration came in, the system of administration, they started frustrating Nubians because Kibera now was an attractive place. More people wanted to come in, and the Nubians had already lost the power they had. They say they had. It was now the government in place was calling the shots, and the administration and the chiefs by then were very powerful. They were really powerful. We had the first MP in Kibera for the Nubians was a Nubian.
Oh, the first MP.
He was a Nubian.
So Liki that is documented was not the first MP.
He was not the
This is interesting.
He was okay. Actually, he was my uncle.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, brother to my mother.
Ah.
Yeah, so he was the first one. And actually he articulated the challenges that the Nubians were facing. The issue of land, he started way back in those 60 something there. You see, he really played a major role for the champion for the rights for the Nubians.
Right, so this was the first MP for Kibera.
For Kibera.
So then who was the second?
Now the second I think was Leaky.
Leaky.
Yeah.
Okay, so we are rewriting the story. We are rewriting history. So Leaky, that has been sung as the first MP of Kibera, was not the first MP.
Actually,
of
he
Kibera.
won. There's a time he won, and then the president told him to step down for him because of what? Because
Your uncle, that is.
yeah,
Mhm.
he told him to step down because he was trying to use him as a way to get funds from abroad, because
So, yeah.
he was a white guy. Maybe he could go and convince
Ah.
people, and they could see that he was trying to be more democratic in his leadership and everything, all that stuff. You see, but the problem started way back. What you are trying to say, I haven't finished about how the setup of Kibera changed from being an organized place to a. So I told you, as when the Nubians lost the power they had, there was nothing they could do. So eviction started one by one in different villages. We ended up being squeezed to just one village. That is Makina there.
Yeah.
Makina. So, and the rest of the areas, there's nothing we could do. People, and our elders had faith. They used to say that the land of God is vast. You see, you could go anywhere by then. But there was that clamor for land struggle. It started way back, even during before independence. It started with the regime of the British. You see, we started our struggle way back. So you see, that is how the Kibera setup started changing, because we lost the power. There was that I don't know, I'll call it a conspiracy to destabilize us, because they're known as we are military people. So that's how we started losing our land, and we didn't have any say to do. The regime that was there was sort of a dictatorial regime. There's no way you could protest.
Right.
Yeah. So people are afraid of their life.
Right.
Actually, during the independence, during the emergence of the Mau Mau, two of the members of the communities were shot in 1953 in a mysterious way. Up to date, nobody knew what really happened, but it was just a way to frustrate us so that we could fight with them, so that the people could see this, the Mama who have killed our members of the community.
So
And by then they were working in the government. You see, so it was just a way of trying to trigger us. So we went through a lot of things. Yeah.
So now, to what generation of the Nubians are you in Kibera?
Generation.
So there's your great grandfather, then there's your grandpa, then there's your
I'll say I'm the fourth.
fourth
Yeah,
generation.
there's some people who are even 6, 10, 7.
Nubian community,
Or descendant.
despite the oppression and intimidation from other communities, sadly, that they welcome into Kibera, and the authority, the government at large, still manages to be organized, united. It is very rare, to be honest. It's very rare to find a Nubian deep in the middle of the slum. There could be a few that, but Nubians have their own space that you say you guys were squeezed in. Kibera being your land, and even from the word Kibera, it's a Nubian word. So that's what brings us still to the Nubian community. You people have still been able to work together as a community and stayed together as a community. With the Nubian community, what is the hope for Kibera?
Well, there's really a great hope. We still believe in it, because we are faced with a lot of challenges, but we are still resilient
Right.
in many ways. There are certain factors that are really threatening the core values that we're having, the culture. You see, by now I think I could not be speaking fluent Nubian, but we're still practicing our language, our food, and the whole stuff about culture. So I think there is hope because during the Uhuru's term, his time, we were really lucky for him to give us the land, and that was our only hope that we had.
Right.
Because for any society to exist or survive without the land, I think that community won't exist.
Right.
They'll just be extinct with time. We've seen in history, we've seen how the Red Indians they've really suffered. We've seen the Aborigines and many more communities. Now in Kenya we have the Ogieks who are really fighting for their land, really struggling because they know very well that without land you are no more. Because without land, how are you going to survive?
It's a factor in the determinant
how are you going to
survive. Yes.
So I think there's hope. Number one, when we were given the land by Uhuru Kenyatta, the 288, though it was much bigger, that's a drop in a drop maybe in an ocean. But we have hope. Once it's like the government has really accepted that these people deserve this. You know, that's a first good gesture from the government. Then the rest will follow.
Right.
Secondly, after just Uhuru took over, William Ruto, the President William Ruto took over. He came up with the task force, a special task force which was gazetted to come and see the operationalization of the Nubian land, the 288, how it's going to be developed. I think also that's a good sign for the community.
Right. Of interest, I think if we are talking development of Kibera, changing Kibera, making Kibera a better place, where for me as a young leader in Kibera, I think we need to begin from is first, we really need to understand the history of Kibera. Then we get into the perspective of respecting the people that were here before, and then we can collaborate as communities that have been brought into Kibera to build Kibera. What is the place of the Nubians or the Nubian community or even leaders in in governing or leadership in Kibera?
Quite interesting. This is a very interesting question, yeah, because currently I'll say yes, we play a very major
integral
role for the leadership of Kibera. But when we talk in terms of political, with those political seats, it's really sad we don't have any seat.
And what is the factor?
That is the MP, that is the MCAs.
Yeah.
But we used to have. There's a time we had two MCAs. But when we talk of leadership, the Nubians are good leaders. You see, I believe they are good leaders because the way we have been brought up.
I agree.
Just the way you've been brought up. Just come up as a leader.
Yeah.
You can lead because once somebody who has a family is a leader.
Yeah.
He's a good leader. But we have those outstanding people who can maybe lead the entire community, regardless of the different backgrounds we are coming from. We have those kind of people.
Right.
But the problem that we are having is we are from minority. We are a minority. That is one of the serious issues we are facing here as a minority in Kenya, and various communities in Kenya who are also minorities.
Right. And I mean, those good leaders, you among them, growing up, seeing how you do things and the leader, and how this community respects you. So, Kur, what is the hope for Kur being a leader in Kibera?
Let me tell you one thing.
And address it, talk to our young leaders and the community of Kibera. I know they are watching. And also the Nubian community as well as the international community watching.
What I'll say is for the community, let's not be the aspect side of ethnicity is what is killing Kenyans. It's what is killing Kibera. It's what is killing the rest of the entire nation.
But Kuri, there's no one who doesn't know you here. Put
very
aside
true. Just a minute. It's very funny. It's very funny and it's a very serious issue. I have many friends. But you see Kenyans, I'm not talking of just Kibera. It's also it's funny, you find also the major tribes also, they're also complaining of there's that tribalism. And yet they are forgetting the tribal. They're coming from a major tribe.
Yeah.
What I'll say is let's embrace each other. let's love each other. I don't think that being a leader for maybe from a certain community will impact in a negative way.
Right.
We all have that capability.
Yeah.
or
Leadership
capacity.
is not
A lot
about
of-
race, tribe, or
So, but
anything.
that is what is killing Kenyans.
Yeah.
Deep inside, deep inside they have that. It's about ethnicity is number one.
Mm.
Then number two is about numbers. But I believe in the near future it's going to change because we are having now new generation who are well enlightened,
Yes.
with good knowledge in education and all that kind of stuff. Now, for me being a leader, yes, I can be a leader. But interesting enough, there's somebody I was trying to share the idea of maybe there's a time I wanted to buy as an MC, but he told me,
I had that. I overheard, and everybody was waiting for it.
Listen, I told him this, but he had some influence. But he told me, why don't you go to your area there, Makina Ward?
Your
You
area
have
there.
a good chance of winning.
Your area there.
Listen, that is what he told me. So now I really wondered, why is he saying this? Is this not my area? Actually, I've been born here in
Brought up
Sarangombe.
here, yeah.
My father was born in Sarangombe. I'm well known by the people
Of Sarangombe, then
here.
probably the area is
Yeah, they know
referring
me
to.
very well, but the people who know my character well,
Are the people at Sarangombe.
like
Yes.
you've seen me going
Yes.
up, going to school, most of them, yeah. So, do I lack a chance of maybe winning here? No, I can't. But it's only that kind of ethnicity.
So
which I
what
think,
discouraged you? What this person said, or what?
You know,
what is it?
there's that really about, in Kibera, I'm sorry to say, people don't see competence. People don't see the merit. People are carried away with issues of party, especially party is number one, and secondly maybe ethnicity. You see, and there's that negative, there's that profiling about Nubians that when these Nubians maybe they'll try to send us away from this land. Insecurity, exactly. But let me tell you, guys, yeah. Nubians are one of the loving people and most caring people. You'll find a Nubian maybe is more generous to an Nubian than the Nubian himself.
Themselves. I agree. I went to school with these
Yeah.
people, so I know.
So I don't see what I'll say to the community. Let's embrace them and give them. You see, I'll try. I'll vibe, but I won't go to get we've seen with the current election that they have just passed in 2022. We had 2 candidates of MPs. We had the MCAs. Somebody will say that, most the excuse that we are given is that you guys are not united. You guys, why do you allow more candidates to vie? And yet you know that you are not many. Even if we have one candidate and we allow even our cattle and our everything that is our domestic animals to come and vote for us, we still want to win because numbers. Election in Kenya is all about numbers. So it's about the other community. I'll say I'm really proud for Shabir in Kisumu.
Right. Shabir, yes.
Shabir. He's been there for 4 terms. That is 20 years. It's really interesting. I'm really proud of him.
But he got assimilated. Speaks
it's really,
local language.
It really intrigues me because I don't know what kind of I don't know, I'll call leadership that he's using for the entire, because that place is dominated by one community. But for him to have, so I think sometimes it's not about, it's about merit. If they can consider merit to certain areas, not even Shabir, there's another leader somewhere also who has been considered and is not from that area. He's from a very minority community, but he's been accepted there.
Right.
So I think that's a good sign for Kenyans that
trajectory.
Yeah, exactly, for Kenyans to try to accept leaders. But for Kibera, I'll say let's shun away from party politics. Is good, yeah. But let's select good people from the party, and we see more of merit. Let merit carry the day. So not the party.
The new generation of leaders, Babu Owino is one of the iconic ones. He talks about the revolution, and that's what I'm hearing you talking about right now. Say Kur decides to be an area MCA, member of county assembly, or maybe MP. because possibilities are the entire Kibera knows about you, and to be honest, you didn't put it out there, but I heard about it because then I was working just next to you here, and I was really excited and waiting until I didn't hear this, so I treated it as rumors. So now I'm hearing it from you. So let's say Kur is vying. What would be your top priorities, things to address as a leader in Kibera?
Well, number one, Kibera is a diverse area. It's a cosmopolitan area whereby we have different communities that are living here.
Right.
We should consider that as a leader. We should treat them fairly in everything. Number one, there are four key things. Number one, we have education. Those are the most challenging things. But now for Kibera, there's a time actually I was discussing with somebody outside here. There were times you could maybe walking and you'll see maybe kids just loitering without any good reason. They haven't gone to school. Nowadays, currently, you'll go from here maybe to Olympic. You won't find a single day during school time somebody just loitering like that. Actually, it will look a bit strange for any kid just to walk like loitering like he'll be asked by anybody, why are you not going to school?
Right.
So I think education now has been really captured here in Kibera. Maybe it's just about the needy kids, yeah. But the most pertinent issue about Kibera is the unemployment, the youth unemployment. That's what we're having. That's why you're having insecurity, the abuse of drugs. So my first, if I'm given that chance, my first engagement will be how to empower the youth and the young mothers and women, because these are the most important people in the society.
Right.
Yeah. Because 70% of the society now is the youth. They are the highly populated people, and most of them, they don't have any kind of secure jobs. They don't have any bright. Most of them don't feel like they don't have any bright future.
Right.
Now it's upon for the leaders now to take this initiative on how to improve their life.
Right.
Because how can you say we're going to have a greater or a strong economy when the welfare of the youth is not being catered for?
Taken care of.
Actually, this is also for the main government. Yeah.
So, and I think
thirdly, maybe about sanitation.
Right. Yeah, and I think in job creation, which is my frustration, Kibera, like you said, is a huge population of the youth, but also dominated. I think a lot of young people have run to the creative world. You could tell from even the dance project that I started running here, a lot of youths are run to the creative world. And one of the things that I've seen generation over generations, and the reason why I say I would recommend you and actually crown you as one of the leaders who should be forefront is, one, you have the history of Kibera, you are a son of Kibera, and you also have done commendable work, one, with your business, because I've seen a lot of young people get employed in your business over the years. And so for me, because from what I hear you say, and now I'm ascertaining to you, me personally, I think I'm behind you in supporting you in whatever position you choose to take. But I'm really interested to also get the perspective of the Nubian community and hope for the leadership, the hierarchy of leadership in the Nubian community, because that support needs to be seen coming first from it's not a must, but it's also a plus if it's coming from the Nubian community, especially the youth to begin with. Yeah.
Well, it's really great to have. If I'm given that chance, I really appreciate. Not only for me, we've also seen that in the late Ken Okoth, may his soul rest in eternal peace. Yeah, he really changed the mentality and the perception of the leadership. In
I'm a
Kibera.
beneficiary of his leadership.
Exactly. You see, when Kenneth came, things really changed. Actually, most of the developments and the changes that we are seeing has been initiated by him.
Right.
Actually, we've seen more youths. I just want to use him as an example
yes.
because he's one of the best. Yeah.
Mm.
Which I think most of the leaders or the youths in Kibera should emulate. Yeah. Because he's one who had the best of examples in the leadership of Kibera. Actually, he inspired a lot of the youths. After 2013, in 2017, we had like, I think, is it 30?
We started seeing more youth coming into leadership, right?
2019, we saw a lot of, during the by-election after he had passed on, yeah? We saw a lot of youth aspiring to, because he really demonstrated what leadership is.
Yes, right.
So people saw, real leadership is something easy. You need to do this and you need to be transparent. About him was just all about transparency and well organized and everything. So for somebody who was grown here like me and been part of the community, I know a lot of history of the community. Yes, given a chance, but one thing about leadership is passion.
Right, passion.
You need to have that passion. Somebody else can have that, the history, he has information, is well educated, and if he doesn't have that passion for sacrifice, leadership is all about sacrifice.
Right.
If you can sacrifice for your people, deliver what you and be a servant to them,
right.
You'll be a good leader and you'll be able to change everything. It only requires only one person. The history can testify that we've seen a lot of changes in the world, that just one person changing the entire nation.
Yeah.
With the belief we have in the religions we've seen, we have the Mahatma Gandhi, we have Jesus,
right.
we have Mandela, we have Muhammad, and many more who have just single-handedly changed an entire the entire world, generations to come, because of what? From his belief and from what he believed in.
Right.
Yeah.
In a statement, this is my second last question. In a statement, tell our viewers your biggest frustration about Kibera.
My biggest frustration? Well, my biggest frustration is about how we conduct ourselves during elections time, because people are more. Let's take an example like in Tanzania. Let me take an example from there first, because when you go there, there's no anything about tribalism. Anybody who is going to vie for something is he's supported. There's not that profiling or trying to discourage or intimidation or harassment.
Right.
People, it's all inclusive, you see. So for the Kibera people, I'll say that let's go for merit. Let's not go for ethnicity. Let's not put ethnicity first or religion or about numbers. Let's embrace merit and good leadership. We'll see Kibera changing. Because a good example is Ken Okoth, what we've seen. His brother also tried to carry on with the legacy, and he really managed and he did well. So let's go for the good leaders. Even if it's somebody who's coming from the parties that we love, let's go for somebody who really knows about. There's a difference. What I believe is that there's a difference of somebody like you, like what you've said, somebody who has been brought to that place, somebody who knows about that place, somebody who went to school to that place, and somebody who's just
an intruder
who just came in.
Right.
It's totally different, because like now, if I go like this, maybe I'm walking just around Kibera, I'll be called by name.
Right.
And I know the different history of different places, and I know the challenges of different areas. Maybe my area here is the challenge of my area, maybe it's unemployment and maybe drug abuse. I go to Kibera, I know maybe there is because of employment or drug abuse, or maybe so they have different challenges in every area. You go to Makina, they have their own challenges, you see.
And just to add on that, before I ask you our final question, I think even the tribes that have gone for leaders from their ethnic communities still do not get merits from those leaders just because they are from their community. As a matter of fact, from research that I've done, a lot of people who vote because this person is from my tribe, eventually they end up hating that person. So if you guys understand the statement that he said, if you want to change Kibera, then we should really go for merits and we should look at leaders, not politicians. My final and last question, we've been talking about money. I'm curious to understand, what is your understanding of money? What is money for you? It's a funny question that we close with.
But there's a song, it used to be sung by somebody, I can't remember. So I was young. They used to say that money makes world go round and round and round.
Right.
Which is very true. We cannot deny that fact. You see, money is key to everything, to any society. Because without money, how would you survive? Schools, the key things, the basic things that we've been taught in schools from primary.
Right.
Basic things. Let's just touch on that. We have, number one, we have what? We have shelter.
Water.
So food,
Yeah,
water,
food,
shelter, and clothing.
Yes.
Without money, there's nothing you could do. Even during the ancient times, they used to, the kind of money they had was about, give me, I give you. It's about barter trade.
Barter trade.
Yeah, you have cattle, I have maybe farm produce. You give me this, I give you this. So it's what I'll say is that it's a key thing in any.
It's an enabler in
exactly,
anything that we do. Yeah, that's really
very
interesting.
important.
Because I think one of the things that we've been told growing up is we associate money to evil. We think money is bad, money, and a lot of poor people have bought into that idea. So as we do our episodes, we really want to understand the perspective and understanding of money, so that our young people can understand that money in itself is not evil, but people are evil. People use money for different things. I mean, like now, Kur is using his money to employ people, somebody else was using his money to terrorize, intimidate, and frustrate other people. It was interesting having you in this episode. I'm really honored, and thanks to Sheikh and the Nubian community for entrusting you with this history. I am really happy and proud that we are sending it down to the community of Kibera. I don't know if there's ever been anyone who has this history from you.
No, actually, yeah, well, there are a lot of people. But consider them, we have elders, we have also upcoming youths who have really, who really understand the challenges of the community, the history of the community.
Okay, but is it out there?
There are a lot of the Nubians. So there's that campaign trying to enlighten them about what is facing the community, about everything about the community.
All right.
Yeah, I believe there. I know there's some people who are really good also.
Who have documented it and it's out there.
Not documented.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, we have. Yeah, sorry, we have.
Oh yeah.
And there's that now we've started. Yeah, there's that initiative of trying to document the history down into books. And we have also this virtual, also like what you're doing here.
All right.
We have from different. There's somebody I know. There's a guy I know. He's been doing that for a long time to collect those important history.
Yeah.
Like now we have very few old people and women who have that original history or the right information about what transpired.
Okay.
So they're trying to collect them in a virtual way.
All right. Yeah. I'll try and see if we can find any online. We'll put the link on description because this is, I think, is a very interesting one. But I really feel proud and honored that virtually, I looked online, I didn't see anything, even on YouTube.
No, actually, yeah, there is, but done mostly in Nubian language.
In Nubian language. So it is very interesting that we package it in a global way that everybody gets to understand it and the new generation gets to appreciate it. So I'm very honored. I cannot thank you enough.
I've really appreciated.
First, for welcoming me in your home. I know, I'm becoming more vibrant in the Kibera leadership, and so I hope we're gonna meet somewhere to discuss where we wanna get Kibera to, and also bring in partners as well. I'm gonna get the honors of talking to different leaders. So we are doing a Kibera series that I decided to start with. We're also gonna start a Nairobi series that we will do and eventually end up on table with the Nairobi senator and the Nairobi governor, and hopefully, if Victors with Victors allow us, then we can be able to push this to the next level of sitting down with our government. And also I have a series that I'm going to do in Europe as well. So I hope that gives us access to the government and we are able to talk Kibera as sons of Kibera and really be able to address some of the things that we need addressed.
I'm really happy, also proud of you guys. Because really, you know, when you find people, the youth in the community try to be that active and try to articulate the issue of the
You saw me as a baby. How do you
exactly.
feel seeing me?
So I really appreciate, because this is what we are lacking. But once you see this kind of uprising from the youths in that positive way, you know this community is going the direction where at least now somebody like you, because maybe out of the youth, like now what I've shared with you about the community, about kids, at least now you have it in your mind,
Right.
maybe to share it with the later generation. So we are really encouraged to see this kind of initiative and activities going on in Kibera. So for you, I'll say congratulations.
Thank you very much.
And as you say, the limit for you.
And as you said, it's a revolution. I mean, it is the first generation I see. I can sit down as a Christian with Sheikh and get really a lot of wisdom from him. And we can sit down and talk about the history of Kibera, because for years we've been trying to change Kibera. And for me, I feel like for me to start changing Kibera, I have to get to the root cause of Kibera and the history and the story of Kibera. Then let's start digging it from the people who have the history, and then see what we can do to take Kibera to what we probably can take it back to the forest by planting a few trees.
No, we want to
but I mean changing it to
we'll
something
take it
modern.
to a green city.
Oh yeah, that green
We're
city.
going to have a green city.
So now you guys know, understand why I'm saying we need him. Yeah, so for me, I think it's really interesting, and I look forward to what the next 5 years has for us as young leaders of Kibera.
Really, that's very nice, very good. And just to add, I think I'll encourage more youth to be at least get close with the elders. Don't shun away from the elders, because a lot of information lies with
them. Yeah, that's
if
true.
you want wisdom, there's no you're going to get wisdom without maybe interacting with the elders, because you get the wisdom from the elders. Because what I'm sharing, maybe 50% or not even 50, 80% is what they shared with me. Yeah. So I'll say to them, please get in touch with them, interact with them, you'll learn more. And maybe you'll get that kind of mentorship. But you find a lot of youths nowadays, they just want to hang around the base. They just say base.
And look at elders as
yeah.
So I'm very grateful to be getting this story
I'm
from
really
you.
happy.
Asante
Thank you
sana,
so
and
much.
thank you very
Karibu
much for your
tena,
time.
Karibu. Actually, I have my orchidea full. Pluck some fruits,
So
but it's
great.
not ripe.
It's not ready. I'll probably come back for it.
Yeah.
You see how welcoming these people are. So whatever you've had, ladies and gentlemen, we've had it straight from a son of the Nubians who's entrusted with the history and the story of Kibera. We tell stories of Kibera, but I'm really honored to not be on camera and talk about Kibera like I know it. I don't know how many generations of the Luo community in Kibera, and I agree, after doing the series of Kibera, it took me down to the Nubians to really establish the people of Kibera who has the story and the history of Kibera. That was it for today. If you're a new subscriber here, please remember to subscribe. Drop a comment on the comment section. Insights. Now for me, I've identified a leader for Kibera, so insights on what these leaders can do. And when we do the final conference, we'll have him also on the conference. I hope on the panel he'll be with the other leaders if he allows, and we'll really dig deep into the comments and bring out some of the insights and talk about them. Until we see you on the next episode, Victors with Victor. Interestingly, I couldn't figure out between Lindy, Makina, and Kianda which one is the largest.
Kianda Lindi, Makieni na Kampala. Lakini Kianda isahau Masambu. Kianda ni kubwa kuliko zote.
Kianda ni kubwa.
Kianda unajua ni stretch kutoka hapa mpaka Katokera.
Imeanzia Katokera ama Olympic?
Kianda inaisha. Kianda ni Ayani, Olympic, Soweto. Ni kubwa.
So Ayani in itself is not a village.
Sasa siko tu sawa. Wacha nitafute kiti. Kiti ngapi? 2?
2 tu. Mimi na wewe.